I just watched my 2021 review video where I combed through every quarter of 2021 and I gave you my lessons and my blessings and my hardships and what I wanted to do and bring into 2022. And I don't even recognize that version of myself, except for the passion that I had and still have for my work and for my dharma, what I'm here to do. Nothing is the same. Not my mind, not my body, not my spirit, not my relationships, not my work. And so I'm really excited to be sitting here again with you to comb through every quarter of 2022, give you my biggest lessons, my words of the year, what manifested for me, and how I grew so that it hopefully helps you take a look at your life, pay attention to the things that have happened and how they've been opportunities for you to expand. If you're meeting me for the first time, hi. My name is Melanie Santos. I am a mind, body, spirit, wellness practitioner, educator, a Kundalini yoga priestess, Reiki practitioner, astrology obsessed community holder, mom, wife, sister, friend, woman, Latina, human being. And on this channel and all of my social media channels, on my website, through my work, what I focus on is how we are spirits existing in human bodies, spirits living human experiences. And I try to encourage people to remember who the fuck they are and to embrace all of the nuances of themselves and their lives to align with their deepest and most abundant truth and have the best human experience possible. I'm excited to get back to filming consistently. I haven't had enough time for it, and I'll talk about what I knocked out of my work in order to make more time for videos. So if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do that right now. And throughout the video, if you resonate with anything, if I say something that sparks something in you, click the like button. That would really help me out a lot. All right, I'm ready. I got my notes here. I got my tea. I am sitting by the window because I want to be with my green girls, but you may hear a little bit of Brooklyn sounds out the window, and it is what it is. Let's get into it. Let's start with quarter one, January through March of 2022. First, I served in ways that I loved. So let's talk about this. How do we get rid of intrusive thoughts? If you watched my 2021 review video, you know that at that time, I was extremely depressed. A lot of my work and really my entire business has been catalyzed by my experience with clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder. In that video, in the 2021 review video, I talked about how I was ending the year and how I had been on a social media break and I was kind of isolating. Not kind of, I was isolating, and it was because I was feeling really ashamed. I felt really ashamed that I could get on a stage and get in front of a camera and talk about, you know, mental health matters and like all these things and our spiritual health, and I was at my absolute lowest, except I didn't know why. And I carried a lot of that confusion and not knowingness and ungroundedness, everything that I was feeling, into the beginning of 2022. Because again, lots of people think that we go from one year to the next and it's a complete like page turn. We turn into different people's, new year, new me. And that's not how it is at all. I had nothing to lead with. It was very hard for me to do basic things, get out of bed, let alone put a camera up and record or lead a class. And so I was forced to surrender in ways that I hadn't done in a very long time. I don't think that I had done ever, because I was forced to surrender where I was, and where I was evolved. Yes, I had learned a lot. I had grown a ton. I had a different awareness about who I was and what I'm here to do. And so when I surrendered in January 2022, I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot last year. I prayed that whatever was going to heal me for good, because I knew that, and I know that if you are somebody who is suffering, if you are somebody who is also passionate about something, if you are somebody who holds people in community, which we all do in our own right? If you are somebody who are suffering, there's a reason for that. Suffering doesn't happen for no reason, I don't think. You're either paying for karma that you created for yourself in past lives, which I think is why a lot of people suffer in this lifetime. Mostly what I want to touch on is I think people suffer, and I think I have suffered so much in my life in many different ways, especially dealing with these invisible diseases, is because I am meant to heal myself. I am meant to remember that my body is the only tool that I need. I have always been meant to go through this suffering, and so I can remember who I am and teach others to do the same and gain the tools and the experience and the wisdom and uncover the wisdom that's within me so that I can show others to do the same with themselves. And so that was what my surrendering was based on. And what came was something that I could not have humanly fathomed. Okay, so boom. I am laying in bed. It is January 2022. I'm scrolling on Instagram because my sleep was shit. And I see this post that says something about an info session for a Kundalini Yoga teacher certification. I was not in the market for any type of teacher certification, let alone yoga. When you are depressed, or when I am depressed, I shouldn't speak for all people. When I am depressed, I am at the lowest of my low. I am self-deprecating. The connection between my mind, body, and spirit is frayed. And so looking at this info session, I'm like, my logical brain is like, you don't need to be doing this. And then my soul was like, you need to sign up for this right now. And I didn't understand why. But again, because I was surrendering and I was just leading with my soul versus my brain, because my brain was incapacitated at the moment, I signed up for the info session and I joined. To make a long story short, I signed up. I didn't have the money to sign up for this teacher certification. I didn't even really know why I was doing it. I knew that I had practiced Kundalini yoga a few times before and I felt really good. It was a yoga that was more spiritual versus bendy or like a workout. And I was really intrigued. And like I said, I was leading from the soul. So I just signed up. I grabbed a credit card. I paid for the entire course and went for it. Much love to my Kundalini Raj sisters, to my teacher, Siri Rishi Kaur from Temple 143, who led this incredible course. I started on February 5th, this 220-hour life course, because it's really what it was. It was much less a yoga teacher certification and much more a life course, much more a major catalyst, a major road back to myself. Once I signed up for the Kundalini Raj certification, I didn't have much time else to do anything else because we were basically squeezing a 220-hour course into about 4 months. So all of my weekends were taken up. I was in class from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. just about every weekend, and we were doing sadhana, which is our daily practice, from 4 a.m. to 6:30. And that was really new for me. I have been a martyr to my work, to my family, and haven't really taken the time to be with myself much. So this was very new for me. I was literally almost plunging myself from this very depressed state and plunging myself into cold water. Quite literally, because before sadhana, part of the sadhana practice is taking a cold shower. I see a lot of people doing cold plunges now and this is so trendy. Cold plunges are ancient. It's an ancient practice. Throughout my life course, I learned that this is called Ishnan, where you're taking a cold shower right before your sadhana practice. Number one, to wake you up and to prepare your mind, body, and spirit to focus on your prayers and your meditations and your mantras. It's also providing incredible value to your nervous system, to your blood vessels. It's incredible. So I literally was cold plunging myself into this process of becoming. Today was day 7, or class number 7, and 1 month of taking this Kundalini Raj intensive training, teacher training, life course. And I think today is the first day that I really feel how much just grateful about how much this is an answered prayer. I prayed so much for continued healing, for graceful healing, for deeper community, for community that I could really grow with on the same level. I prayed so much for somatic healing. I prayed so much for deep, deep grounding. I prayed so much to really learn a practice or integrate with a practice or integrate with anything that was going to help me heal my depression and anxiety for the rest of my life. And then this came along, and I didn't realize that until today. And I'm just so filled with gratitude. Me really giving my all into this life course didn't leave much time for anything else, because I was in class Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on most weeks. And then on the weekdays, I'm working and I'm being a mom and I'm dedicated to what I have to do. So any chance that I had to have fun outside of my home, I was taking it. And one of the most fun things that I did all year long, actually a lot of the most memorable fun moments surround music, because I'm music obsessed. Being a highly sensitive person and realizing this has really opened the door to learning about why I love things so much and why I process so deeply, and why music sounds so good to me, and why I feel it in my bones, why I get goosebumps when I hear my favorite songs. And so one of the most fun things that I did was go see Khruangbin live at Radio City Music Hall. This concert was incredible, like incredible. It was so good. Like, I went to this concert with my husband and two of our best friends. I let my guard down a little bit. I took my mask off. I was dancing, I was singing. It was like such a freaking blast. But because I let my guard down, COVID got me for the very first time. So this is March of 2022. So I had swerved COVID because I wear a mask. I am vaccinated and boosted. I don't want to talk about your opinion on this. I've done many COVID campaigns to advocate for how important this is. So I am very adamant about, like, let's protect ourselves, but also let's protect the people that we're going to be around, because there are some people who unfortunately cannot get sick. They'll lose their jobs. I could go on about this for days. I let my guard down. I got COVID and I was extremely disappointed in myself. It was pretty horrible. I experienced just about every like typical COVID symptom that you could get. It was like a flu on steroids. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. If I could do it again, I would go to the concert and maybe wear my satin mask, that's my like going out mask. I just would not let my guard down like that again. We can totally have fun and also stay protected. Getting COVID for the first time was horrible and changed a lot for me, and I'll talk about that later on as well. So that was pretty much it for Q1. There wasn't really anything else going on. I was like intensely focused on this yoga teacher training and got COVID, and I was working, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about biggest lessons that I was reminded of, because I think all the lessons that we learned really live within us. It's not that we're learning anything for the first time. It's almost like we're almost like reactivating the lessons within us. And in Q1, I was reminded that sometimes you have to get to your breaking point to break through, even if it means getting to your breaking point over and over and over until you finally break through that wall. To me, that breaking point was feeling so incredibly depleted and almost seeing the end, but still having a sliver of hope, still having a sliver of curiosity, so much so that I could crack open a book like the highly sensitive person. I could crack open my phone and be intrigued by this training or this class that might have the answer to my healing. It's learning something new. It's learning that my anxiety and depression weren't just things that I was suffering with for no reason, that they have a purpose, that yes, I'm meant to teach and lead people out of it, remind people that they have the tools within themselves, but also remind people that a lot of our mental illness and a lot of our mental struggles come from overstimulation. I'll talk so much more about this, about how I learned that the stem of my mental illnesses has to do with being a highly sensitive person, overstimulation, understimulation. I'll talk more about that in a separate video. And when it is filmed, I will link it in the description box and put it up here for you to watch, because that was really, really, really a game changer for me. I was also reminded that when we surrender our fixed ideas about an outcome, when we surrender our expectations for how something should turn out, and we really accept every moment of our lives as a piece of the puzzle, every moment of our lives as a blessing and a lesson, we will be aligned with exactly what it is that we need, even if it doesn't feel like that at the moment. I was reminded that we always have the chance to shift our perspective, that we always have a choice whether to lead with love or lead with ego. And so with that, let's go into Q2. We're looking at April, May, and June of 2022. First, I served in ways that I loved.
My name is Melanie Santos, and I'm a mind, body, spirit wellness educator and practitioner. For me, celebrating my achievements is más que un momento, because el camino es una oportunidad para aprender, profundizar tu relación contigo mismo y evolucionar hacia una mejor versión de quien eres.
Quarter 2 of 2022 was one of the most transformative times of my life, like ever. I went through a lot of heartbreak, a lot of very, very deep heartbreak, but I also broke through to the most delicious joy, gratitude, freedom I had ever felt in my entire life. Let's talk about it. First, what was poignant to me was watching my parents sell my childhood home. I was born and raised in Washington Heights, New York City, on 176th Street and Haven Avenue, overlooking the George Washington Bridge. I have fond memories of that apartment. And then my block got really hot. We were craving more space. And so around the time I was like 10-ish, we moved to Dumont, New Jersey. This town is so small, y'all. Like, I believe it's 1 square mile. Like, it's insanely small. I was not used to it. Imagine being a young girl going through puberty who had grown up with the same people and moving from this very rich, diverse area where mostly everybody was black and brown to this predominantly white town. It was a lot for me. I'm giving you a little bit of my life story here, but it was a lot for me. I need you to understand where I was coming from and why this was so important for me to go through, grow through, and see my parents through, because it was a big deal. To make a long story short, maybe I will tell my life story on here one day, or maybe I'll write it in a book. Who knows? I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't move to this house, if I didn't move into this town, if I didn't experience racism for the first time, if I didn't have to wade through prejudice from dealing with my classmates to my teachers. I learned how to defend myself. I learned my voice. I learned that I had a voice. I learned that I wasn't insignificant. I learned that I wasn't like everybody. I learned what feeling othered was in New Jersey. I learned that feeling othered is not normal. I made a lot of memories in this home. I got my period in this house, and, had amazing birthday parties with my friends who are still some of my very close friends to this day. I, kissed a boy in this house for the first time. This house has been the container for so many different versions of me, so many different versions of my mom, of my dad, and of my brother. This house felt like a big connection between my brother and I as well.
The man with the lights.
My brother died in an accident in June of 2019. And so this house felt like some of the glue that still kept me connected to him in a way, connected to our childhood memories. Going to see my parents pack up the house was a lot for me. I'm actually grateful that I was like in the middle of this Kundalini yoga training as this was happening, because it provided me like the emotional grounding and stability and the spiritual grounding that I needed to handle something as big as this. And if you're watching this right now and you're like, it's just a house, who cares? I process things on a deeper level, and by this point, it was also helpful for me to know that, okay, I'm a highly sensitive person. While this may be X, Y, and Z to somebody else, this is this for you, and it's okay to feel this deeply about this. My parents have moved. They downsized. They moved into an apartment. They're way closer to my sister-in-law, my niece, and my nephews, who were left without my brother and without a lot of the help and support that they need. They're 5 minutes down the road from them. I'm so grateful that my parents' quality of life has improved. Moving on, in Q2, I went through some of the most painful friendship breakups I have ever been through and I ever want to go through. These breakups were with people that I considered not only friends but family. Some of which I had known for almost 10 years, some of which were newer friends, and still we were really close. We got really, really close. And I invested a lot of time, a lot of love, deep love, a lot of caring, understanding, listening, energy, money into these relationships, only to realize that we were, and I eventually realized this, but like we were meant to crash and burn. Relationships are assignments. We are meant to come together to teach each other lessons, to help bring us closer to our truth. That can happen in loving ways, and people might call that a soulmate, or they can happen in these types of ways where like these were karmic relationships. We have traveled together through different lifetimes, bringing each other closer and closer and closer to this end result, bringing each other closer and closer to our truth until we sort of snap and break. The point of a karmic relationship like this is to come together, to catalyze, to like push the needle, push the lever, to catalyze each other so that you can become who you really are. And most times it happens in really, really painful, disgusting ways that like the human mind and body don't want to go through, but that the soul understands because our soul signed up for this. If you've been following me for a while, you might know the phrase, remember who the fuck you are. It is a phrase that I have coined and I've been saying for a long time because I think it very adequately describes our journey, the journey to like becoming and living in our truth. It's like, remember that you are a cosmic being. Remember that you are a soul living this human experience, that your soul signed up for this, and that you're gonna go through almost feels like warfare sometimes. You're gonna go through moments that you're like, what the hell is happening? So I say that to say that some people see me say this phrase or use the phrase themselves and they picture themselves like on top of a mountain and they're just like, I have remembered who I am and I'm so proud. And it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes it is in a terrible connection like this, a terrible relationship like this, a situation where you're broken down to the pulp, where you're like lodged in a hole, and it's not that something is going to pull you up, it's that you're meant to be in that hole to remember that you have the tools to dig yourself out. That to me is like the essence of remembering who you are, remembering that you have everything it takes, remembering that you've maybe put yourself in a position where you need to take yourself out so that you never put yourself in that position again. And that's a lot of what it was for me. It was realizing that a lot of the discomfort that I was feeling in these relationships and how things ended the way that they ended, a lot of it was because of me. I had to hold myself accountable, but I also had to hold accountable these other parties, these other people who just acted in really, really terrible ways, and how, you know, sometimes people will choose war. Sometimes people will choose ego over love. And that's not okay with me. And I think a lot of the clarity that I got was how I need to come correct, but also what I want to accept in relationships and connections moving forward. Exactly. All right, I want to break down some of the major lessons that I learned from these breakups because I think they'll provide a lot of value for you. And I think you can definitely take them with you. Please ignore all of the sounds that New York City is making outside my window. Number one, intuition has less to do with what's going on externally than what's going on inside of your body. When you come into contact with a person, a place, a thing, something that someone has said, and your body goes into shock, you feel jerky, you feel uncomfortable, you get queasy, pay attention to it. That is your sympathetic nervous system being activated and sending a signal through your body that your mind, body, spirit senses a threat. Our bodies are so powerful and they are intricately woven with our minds and our spirit. The more that we're disconnected from our spirit and the more that we ignore our intuition, the more inflamed we'll be. The more inflamed we are, the sicker that our mind and our bodies will be. So tune in, tap in. Number 2, don't push yourself to stay in any relationship connection, to remain in any space that does not feel good to you just because it's something that you're supposed to do, because it's supposed to be good for you, because you've been conditioned to think that you should be here, that you should be doing this thing. Be rooted in integrity and honor your need to say no, even when it's really hard to do so. Number 3, be 100% authentic in who you are, but know that not everybody deserves 100% of your energy. It's good to lead with love and not with ego, but you also have to be aware that some people made it into your life not because they genuinely care about you, not because they genuinely love you, but because they were curious. They were curious about how you got what you have. Some people are just curious about your light and how you're able to shine so bright. Some people made it into your life simply for their own character development. And it is none of your business and not your responsibility to give that any energy, love, time, and attention. Number 4, a lot of people are talking really loud, especially in the wellness and spiritual industry, but not everybody is walking the way that they're talking. It is wild to experience peers in the mind, body, spirit wellness space become so entangled in capitalism, become so about the healing the culture forward, and I'm doing this because it's my ancestors' wildest dreams, that the money takes precedent and that they completely forget that this work is about love. And number 5, take the feedback, but do not internalize it. Nobody knows what they're doing here. We're all just leading each other. Everything is an opportunity for you to get closer to you. But don't let anybody ever make you question who you are as a sensitive being. Don't let anybody tear you down for feeling everything so deeply. Being sensitive is an incredible gift if you learn how to balance your experience. And did I? That was a really hard moment in my life. It was really hard to be conflicted with these really hard emotions. But I pray for those people a lot. I thank their souls for colliding with mine, for offering me the opportunities to grow and live and learn and become aware of the ways that I wasn't truly expressing my divine truth. I pray that they've also learned their lessons. And I pray for mercy on their human selves because they really hurt me. And divine justice manifests in divine time. And it always has the last word. Moving forward, after all that crazy shit went down, after 4-ish months of intense focus, deep work, dedication, sweat, blood, and literal tears, I graduated from my Kundalini Raj teacher certification, and I was crowned Kundalini Yoga Raj priestess. We had a gorgeous final ceremony right here in Brooklyn where my teacher's ashram is. We meditated and chanted mantra and moved our bodies and made flower crowns and danced. It was truly the most perfect graduation ceremony. It actually aligned with my daughter having to be dropped off to me in the middle of it. And it was so awesome because if y'all have been following me for a while, have seen me post Ava on the gram, who's my 5-year-old. She loves to be front and center. She is fully a Libra. And so when she got to the ashram, she sat right next to my teacher and helped lead the final meditations that we practiced together. And it was just beautiful to see. It was also beautiful for me to experience my daughter experiencing me in this way. It's led us on a beautiful journey as a family to practicing Kundalini Yoga together. I now do practice sadhana with my husband, not as a teacher, but as partners, which just has made us so much closer. I don't want to give too much away. I'm definitely going to have a separate video all about how Kundalini Yoga has changed my life, like every aspect of it. And I'm going to link it in the description box and also link it up here for you to watch. But that wasn't all of it. I graduated in May of 2022, yes, but the last part of this, in order for me to get my certificate and be able to teach and get insurance and all these good things that yoga teachers have to do, I had to complete a final exam. And it literally took me the entire summer. I'll jump into more of that in Q3, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. On June 6th of 2022, I celebrated my 33rd birthday. Again, this was a crazy year of personal growth for me. So for me to get to 33, first of all, I have always known, that when I got to 33, that it was going to be special. Again, reminder, I am a psychic medium and I do readings on myself the same way that I do readings for y'all. Sometimes I'm able to feel the feelings of a particular area or time of my life without fully seeing the journey there, because why would I have all the answers if the point of life is to come across the answers, right? So I've always known that when I got to 33, I would have a lot to celebrate. I wanted to throw a party or have this big celebration, because again, I knew that I was going to have a lot to celebrate. I just didn't know what it was. And so when I got to this point, it made sense. It totally made sense. I had broken through so much. I'd shed so much. I had become this woman that I didn't think that I could be. I graduated from this Kundalini yoga certification, realizing that it had been my ticket to really reconnecting myself in a way that I hadn't experienced depression or anxiety at all since February, since I started. My aura was super strong. I was shining bright. I even shed a lot of the trauma weight that I was carrying on my body. My hair was longer and stronger. My skin was glistening. Literally every aspect of my life had changed. And so when I got to 33, it was kind of oh, this was it. This was what you've been seeing all along. You were going to have a lot to celebrate, not in accolades, not in awards, not in followers, not in money, but in spiritual abundance. You really tapped into a richness that even the richest people in the world won't ever get to tap into. I was just so grateful. I am so grateful. 33 was also really special to me, or is special to me because I'm 33 right now, but is special to me because the number 33 means a lot to me. You might know that in numerology, 3 is a very highly spiritual number. Even in religion, think about things like the Holy Trinity. A lot of spiritual aspects happen in 3s, for lack of a better word. My life path number is number 3. It also holds a very special connection between my brother and I. I was born on June 6th. My brother was born on September 3rd, 1992. So we were 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days apart. So before he died, we were going to get the number 3 tattooed. It would have been his first tattoo, mine 6th or something, but we never got to make that happen. So before I turn 34, I want to make it a point that I get that number 3 tattoo to honor our relationship, to honor myself, to honor him, and just to honor our spiritual paths, what brought us together, and what is bringing us closer together right now, even in the afterlife. So I mentioned that I wanted to throw this big party and commemorate this, turning of age thing. And at the end of it, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do shit. I went to my husband and I'm like, you plan everything. You've never planned a birthday party for me. You do it. And he did. He did it up. It was I just felt so loved. I really felt loved. It was truly such a special time. He even got some of my closest friends to fly out from different parts of the country. It was just everything. Thank you if you are my friends and family who are watching this right now. I'm really, really grateful because it helped. It felt like a New Year celebration for me, for sure. So biggest Q2 lessons and reminders. I've already combed through a lot of the biggest lessons that Q2 has offered me. But I think if I was able to round it out, I think it focuses in on and zooms in on when the springtime happens. For me, it's always felt okay, this is when the new year is truly happening. That on the first day of Aries season is that's the start of the energetic new year. And that's when things start to really ramp up for me. So I can always expect my biggest lessons, my biggest transformative moments. So I no longer beat myself up for my Q1s feeling super low and really slow, because I know that that's just my preparation. It's my ramping up moment. And Q2 really ramped me up. It was truly the most transformative 3 months of my entire life. And I'm, standing on the other side of it, I'm super grateful for every single moment. If you want to know more about flowing with the cosmos, what it means to flow with the astrological signs, with the energy of the planets, to not have to flow with patriarchal culture, the year starts on January 1st type of bullshit, take my class. An incredible class on flowing with the cosmos. It is available right now on the classes page of my website where I host all of the classes that I teach. Okay, let's get into Q3, July, August, September of 2022. First, I served in ways that I loved.
The effects of proper flow of prana, the proper flow of prana, the proper breath, the correct way to breathe, and pranayama. This is super important. Then we'll get into the practicing. I know everybody's like eager to like, let's shift this nervous system, sis, because life has been crazy. Trust me, I know.
By Q3, I literally felt like I was brand new. Like, I know a lot of people say that, but I really felt brand new. Like, I had revitalized myself in a way that I never had before. Everything just felt different. My perspective, my mind, my relationship to my body. I felt incredibly sexy. You know, my Kundalini was activated. You know, Kundalini energy is like divine, sexual, sensual energy. So I felt creative. I felt like I constantly wanted to adorn myself. It just felt really good and delicious to be me.
I know I've reached a different level of self-love because when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm fucking obsessed. I love it. I love myself. I love the way I look. I love the way I feel.
Because of that, I also felt a little bit more like unapologetic about what decisions I had to make for me, for my family, and for our betterment. So in Q3, I flew my kid out to spend a month in Florida with my parents for the very first time ever. For me to have paid for a ticket and been like, Mom and Dad, toma, like, I need help, here she is, she's gonna be good, and surrender in that way, for somebody like me who has experienced anxiety from the moment, well, for most of my life, but like extra anxiety from the moment that I gave birth. I talked about this a lot on my channels, and I have a blog post about this on my website right now. Realizing that I had postpartum anxiety versus postpartum depression, like this was a big deal for me. Also, this was big for me because growing up in Caribbean culture, I watched my friends like spend summers in other countries, in their homeland countries, while I stayed in New York and New Jersey. Because my mom was a school teacher, she would spend summers with us. So I never got that experience of like being flown out and having to spend a summer with like my relatives. So while this was not like DR or PR, like it was Florida. It was a big deal for me to receive help in this way, because if there's anything that I struggle with the most, it is receiving and asking for help. During the time that Ava was in Florida, I got to enjoy a beautiful vacation in the Dominican Republic with my husband, where we celebrated our 5th year wedding anniversary, actually simultaneously as we celebrated the matrimony of two of our friends, which was a really awesome like synchronicity. After I left DR, I went from DR to Florida, where again I was receiving more help. So I'm really proud of myself, because while I was there with my daughter and my parents, they got to tend to my daughter while I was around, but I also got to spend undivided time working on this Kundalini Yoga final exam, which was basically a set of questions, like open-ended questions, where I had to respond to everything that I had learned from February. So this is now July, August, September. So literally spent the whole year learning this practice. Now I had to show my chops. This took me way back into a version of myself that I hadn't experienced in a long time, to my inner child. I'd always been an honor student in every school that I went to, and this brought me back to that. It felt really good. It felt like I was healing a lot of aspects of my childhood that I hadn't gotten the chance to in this way. So it was awesome. Finally, at the end of August, the beginning week of September, I published a 53-page book, in essence, with everything that I had learned about Kundalini Yoga to this point. And now I have this book that I will forever be able to hold on to, with all of my knowledge about this ancient technology, with all of my experiences through this journey, with all of my experiences healing myself and learning the intricacies of my body, of yogic anatomy, of breath, of mantra, of how this technology truly shifts and changes us and brings us closer to our divine truth. It's just I'm so excited to teach. I am so excited to teach. If you want to know when I start teaching classes, when you can join courses with me, how you can learn more about this amazing technology that has truly helped revitalize my relationship with my mental health primarily, but with my mind, body, and my spirit, make sure that you're signed up for my mailing list, where I always am emailing everything that I'm doing, all the courses and offerings that I am offering, and you'll get first dibs. Upon returning to Brooklyn from South Florida, Ava got COVID and I got COVID for the second time. I really don't know how this happened. We double masked on the plane as we always do, and we were protected the whole way through. I don't know if kids are gonna be kids. Maybe she took her mask off and stuck her finger in her nose, or she, I don't know, passed it on to me. I don't know how it happened, but getting COVID for the second time was really like a wake-up call for me. I didn't have any of the symptoms that I had in the beginning. I actually didn't have any symptoms at all. I only got tested because she tested positive. And later on, what I experienced was the most excruciating lung pain and shortness of breath. Ava missed her first week of kindergarten, which was tragic for me and really hard for her. Eventually she was fine, but I wasn't. It took me 3 months for me to get back to a place where I was comfortable having conversations or taking clients or leading classes and workshops, because I couldn't speak for longer than 20 minutes at a time. I ended up going to a pulmonologist just to get x-rays done and make sure that my lungs weren't sicker than they should be, and so that I could get guidance about how I could heal myself, because I'm very much a lean into Western medicine for the testing and lean into Eastern medicine or traditional, non-traditional medicine for healing. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. When I went to the pulmonologist, he prescribed me a medication, an inhaler, that he warned me would change the sound of my voice. I was like, sir, I'm not taking this medication. So I did not fill the prescription. I ended up doing my own research. The way that I ended up healing my lungs and bringing them back to health was, one, leaning into the pranayama breathwork exercises that I had just spent the entire year learning to expand my lung capacity once again. And two, taking Chinese medicine tinctures. The tinctures that I invested in are from Lily Choi. She has an incredible Instagram where she's constantly posting tips and tricks and herbs and things that we should be doing to honor our bodies and to bring our bodies back to health, things that we should be aware of using her expertise in Chinese medicine. So I will link the drops that I took and am still taking, to be honest, in the description box below. And let me know if you want a more robust video on COVID and other ways that you can heal yourself and protect yourself and expand your lung capacity if you've been through COVID. To cap off Q3, we went to Portola Festival in San Francisco, California. This festival was created by the creators of Coachella, so we knew it was going to be top notch. And when we saw the lineup, have you ever seen a lineup where all your favorite acts are on it? I was stunned, flabbergasted, beside myself. It was an instant cop. And then for our anniversary in August, I actually upgraded us to KIP, kinda important person. And let's just say that Huey and I will never attend another music festival without VIP access. It was
Off to Portola. Okay, biggest Q3 lessons and reminders. By this point, I realized, wait a minute, I had some words that I had chosen for this year. My words for 2022, I had two, were balance and pleasure. And by this point, I was like, hold on. In my let me review this quarter, let me review the year, in my self-reflection, I was like, I'm not really
feeling a lot of balance and pleasure this year. When we set an intention and when we like set like a word for a year, it doesn't mean that I was just going to experience balance and pleasure every single month of the year. What happens instead is that when we set an intention, our energy is put out into the universe and the universe responds by giving us opportunities to create that in our life. So in my deeper reflection, I had to be like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's not that this isn't happening for you. It's that all year round, you've been receiving opportunities for you to see where the holes are, how you've been contributing to your lack of balance and your lack of pleasure in your life. And that like upped the gratitude in me. I became super, super grateful. And I also observed all the different ways that I had learned to honor the simple pleasures in life. Because again, I didn't have a lot of time to like make fun plans or like really reach out for pleasure. I had to experience balance and pleasure where I was. This has always been really me. You might know this about me from my hashtag reasons why there's joy on my face, but I really reached another level of enjoying the simple pleasures in life and feeling the beauty and the joy in life despite my inability to leave my desk or my laptop for most of the summer. I'm super grateful that even in my humanly perceived lack, I am super abundant and I'm able to receive all the joy and the beauty that life has to offer me. All right, last quarter of 2022, Q4, October, November, December. First, I served in ways that I loved. In October, after 2.5 years of serving through intuitive readings, I am a psychic medium. I was offering these services in different ways through oracle readings and also just through intuitive energy readings. I closed my books and I shelved this offering for I don't know how long. My gratitude was on high because I had experienced literally 2.5 years of sold out months. Like consistent. I never had a month that it wasn't sold out. Incredible. There are not many people that can say that, so thank you. Anybody who has ever gotten an alignment session with me, you have all my gratitude, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to be the littlest piece of your alignment and your connection. So my gratitude, super high, but my exhaustion, even higher. I did a whole video on this, my decision to step away, and also gave you tips on what you should know before you get any type of reading done, so go watch that. But it really boils down to like, after giving my entire body, my mind, my spirit, a lot of my time to this offering, I wanted it all back. I wanted my body back. I wanted my freedom back. You know, while I was dedicated to serving through these alignment sessions, there would be weeks and months and years that like I didn't eat certain things. I wasn't eating meat. I wasn't eating dairy. I wasn't drinking alcohol. I wasn't going to certain places. I want to live my life fully and unrestricted. I just felt very restricted. And nobody was telling me to restrict myself. It was more a matter of like, this is how I show respect to this work. This is how I show respect to this craft. This is also why I charge so much, because I pride myself on being such a clear channel and doing everything that I could do to be a clear channel so that I can offer the purest form of this wisdom to people as it was being offered through me. I've been working non-stop, just nonstop. And I really just wanted myself back. I wanted my time back. I wanted my body back. I wanted to be unrestricted. I wanted full liberation. And so I gave myself that. I think a little bit too much though. I started to eat meat again. I started testing out my boundaries with certain foods that I know aren't good for me, like dairy. I started drinking appropriately again. Just testing my boundaries, seeing, how my body reacted to these things that it hasn't had in a couple of years. I dealt with some setbacks, for sure. I developed acne for the first time. I gained a little bit of weight. My hair started thinning, just things that were happening with my body. Also that I can attribute to having COVID twice. There was just a lot going on, and having professional help really, really helped me navigate all of this. Earlier in the year, I had the opportunity to do some private work with Parsley Health, and part of my contract allowed me to work with them for free for 6 months. And so I took that opportunity at this time because, again, my body was going through so much. I was assigned a doctor and a health coach that I worked with to basically narrow down on what I wanted to focus on in terms of my health. So it's not like you're getting like a general doctor and you're getting a checkup. This program helps you really zoom in on what are your biggest health concerns. Let's fix them in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is that you sign up for. What I wanted to focus on was my endocrine system, dealing with my stress and my hormones, and improving the quality of my sleep. Now in retrospect, I probably should have or could have, would have looked at my gut health a little bit more. I think what we zeroed down into is that I had done so much gut work on my own already that I didn't want to waste my time and money and effort dealing with gut health, but I wanted to. And I think I'm going to see them again because they offer so many different ways for you to get tested. If I would have focused on gut health, I would have gotten my stool tested, where they test your vitamins and minerals and how, your gut absorption. I think I'm going to do that this year. I did get a lot of testing done to focus on my endocrine system and my body's responses to stress, which has been a big challenge for me. The last time I got my cortisol results back, they were like scary high, like heart attack high, which is really frightening for me because I have a lot of heart health issues in my family health history. So I really wanted to get my stress and my hormones under control, especially being someone of childbearing age. Like, I want to have more kids. I want to know that my body is where it needs to be to do that. Also, hormones are just generally just so important. So I got a lot of testing done. One was a really involved set of blood tests. I think I did 26 tubes of blood that day. And the other was a comprehensive assessment of my sex and adrenal hormones and my cortisol response from a company called Dutch. That one was really crazy. I had never done testing like this before. I was like chewing on cotton swabs so that they can get my saliva, and that's how they tested my hormones from my saliva. I'm sure there are other ways to test. If you are in this profession and know a little bit about this, I would love to hear your opinion in the comments. But my results were pretty accurate and kind of astonishing. My cortisol wasn't as high as it's been, but it could still use a lot of improvement. And what I liked about this test is that it provided me with a timeline of like when am I most stressed? And for me, it's the morning. It's like as soon as I wake up. So this, and also the blood test, because the blood test also gave me a ton of clarity about my deficiencies and ways that I should be eating better for optimal health. This gave me so much clarity, but also put into perspective the self-care habits that I needed to like switch around and how I need to care for myself more intensely in the morning before I end up working and serving and doing things that need to be done with my family. And so look out for a refreshed morning routine video because I'm still working on it. Also, let me know in the comments if you want to see more health related videos about what I go through as a gluten-free, mostly dairy-free, soy-free, rice-free human being. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you're interested in, because I would love to share my learnings and how I navigate that. All right, to round this out, the last quarter of the year was a lot less busy for me. Usually in the last couple of months of the year, I'm used to a bunch of events, podcasts and offerings and products coming out, and that wasn't the case this time around. Partially because I wasn't feeling my best. I was still healing through the second bout of COVID, so I had to say no to a lot of things. I had to say no to a lot of meetings, client sessions. I was like rounding out the final bits of my alignment sessions, and I just had to say no. Also, I was just generally burnt out. It wasn't so much like, oh my God, I've done so much work this year, even though I did, and we did incredible things, especially in our membership community. But I think I had like healing fatigue. Again, this year was the most transformative personal year for me. And I just needed to like get in my shell a little bit. I'm grateful that I didn't have a lot to do professionally because it gave me a lot of personal time. It gave me a lot more energy to focus on me. I was having deeper meditations. I was having deeper reflection time. I was having deeper therapy sessions. A lot of the healing that I was going through towards this last quarter and even reflecting on throughout the year had to do with my childhood traumas, my childhood conditioning, ways that I had been brought up, and even just like past versions of myself. So by this point, I was done. I was burnt out. I was healing fatigued, and I was really seeking comfort. I'm a Cancer rising and Cancer moon, so mothering and nurturing for me is like everything. And when I need it, I need it. It's a serious affair. Watching comfort in TV and movies were like really, really healing for me. They were really grounding for me. I watched all 9 seasons of Seinfeld, and I will do it again. That show gave me so much, and I don't think it even tries to, because it's literally a show about nothing. But I watched Seinfeld, and it was like the biggest joy. Like, I remember just scheduling unadulterated Seinfeld time, and my therapist actually commending me for it. Actually, it was in a therapy session where I realized that I was feeling comfort from things like Seinfeld and 90s movies, rom-coms. Oh my God, don't even get me started. I was feeling comfort while watching them because they featured the 90s where I was a kid. Lots of the traumas that I was healing and the conditioning that I was healing through happened at the same time that those shows were being filmed. So seeing people in these outfits and the language and the music and just the environment was really comforting for me. 100% recommend watching things that existed in your childhood, also listening to music that reminds you of your childhood. Always amazing. Have a record player back there, and it's just always incredible to pop in an album or a record and feel connected to that part of me, even though she may be healing, even when she's hurting. Since I've been capping off every quarter with something fun, I think one of the most memorable and fun times that we had in Q4 was celebrating my daughter's 5th birthday. Again, I was doing all this like childhood healing, and now my daughter is the age that I was when a lot of this like conditioning and like traumatic stuff came about and like became lodged in my body and in my mind. So parenting her through this time has been really, really interesting. And also starting to switch into the mode where like now I'm parenting my parents all simultaneously. It's crazy in here. It's like really crazy experiencing this in this way. So her 5th birthday came around, and I'm like, we're gonna do it up. This is like big deal, big milestone. And we really did. She had a 3-day extravaganza. And the reason for that is this. I know my child's birth chart. And this has been something that's been really, really game changing for me, is like, know your kid's birth chart. You obviously know the time that they were born, the place and everything. So knowing the signs and planets and like the energy of your kid means knowing their essence. So I know my daughter is a Libra sun. Her relationship to herself is this Libra relationship of like beauty and love and wealth. And I know that her Venus is also in Libra. Venus being the way that she nurtures and the way that she wants to be nurtured is in this really like beautiful, extravagant, like fancy type beautiful way. And so we try to do that for her the best that we can. And this 3-day extravaganza was perfect. Day 1 was Friday night. We went to a Knicks game. It was actually my first Knicks game too. And let's just say I'm now the Knicks #1 fan. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would care about basketball, but like now I got a favorite player. RJ Barrett, we love you in this house. We've been to a couple of Knicks games. It's just so much fun. She was just lit up when she saw where she was. On day 2, we took her to the Camp Stores, which is just the coolest store with like a bunch of like learning toys, and they often have like experiences for kids. At this point, they had the Encanto experience. I'm not sure if they still have it, but we are big Encanto fans in this house. I'm not gonna go into this whole like think piece about how Encanto was really made for adults and really focuses on like healing intergenerational trauma, but it does. We are big Encanto fans in this house. Her little birthday was like focused on Encanto. We cut her a cake at home, but we also took her to this experience completely like blindfolded. She had no idea. And then on Sunday, thank you Disney, who like, such a blessing. Disney gifted me tickets to Aladdin on Broadway, and I was able to take my husband and my daughter to see the show for her birthday, which was extra special for me because like I mentioned, a lot of what fueled us to make a big deal about this was because it was a way that like we're healing our inner child by parenting our kid in this way. And like my daughter is the same age that I was when I was going through everything that I'm like healing through at the moment. And at that time, Aladdin was my favorite movie. So the fact that it ended up being that way, we didn't choose for it to be Aladdin on Broadway. They just offered me the tickets, and I was like, I see what you're doing, universe. I see what you're doing, spirit. Thank you for this gift. It almost felt like a little graduation gift. Like, we see that you're doing the work. Here's another way that you can experience balance and pleasure in this reconnection to yourself, and this reconnection to your inner child. And it was just so special. So, biggest Q4 lessons and reminders. By the end of Q4, the end of 2022, I knew that I had a lot to process. I knew that I had to let the dust settle, and it wasn't just like processing the last 3 months, but the last 12. I didn't just grow in 2022. I completely transformed. I am sitting before you a completely different person, and not because I care about different things or I've changed the way that I do things, but I do things and I live and I teach and I breathe from a different perspective. I have a lot more respect for myself, for what I've been through, for the different versions of myself that I've been. I have different tools also, different tools that have allowed me to access parts of myself that I thought weren't even there. I have shed so much. And although in the moment it was probably the scariest things for me to go through, I am so grateful. I feel so much lighter. Think of Erykah Badu in Bag Lady. You gon' hurt your back, dragging all them bags like that. Oh, was my back hurt? My back was bent. And I am just like, I feel like I just went like this. I'm not carrying nobody. I'm not carrying nobody that does not see me. If you don't see me, you're not here. If you don't respect me, you are not here. I always think of also the analogy that my dear friend Lorraine shared with me a couple years ago that I carry near and dear to me, and I'll share it with you. I hope she doesn't mind. But it's the analogy of like seeing your life as your house. There are people and things that are going to be inside your house. There are people and things that are going to be in your bedroom with you. And those are the people and things that you hold near and dear, that are intimate, that you let in. And then there are people and things that you'll have to move from your bedroom to your living room, outside and down the corner, because they do not belong anymore. Shifting my perspective to dealing with relationships and connections in these ways have been grand. So thank you to all my friends and family, to my community, to y'all who continue to show up for me, who have been such a big part in reminding me of who I am, why I'm needed here. Because for a moment, I almost lost that. For a moment in 2021 and in years prior, but especially in 2021, I almost lost my why. I almost lost my ability to see why I am necessary. So allow me to tell you in my clarity and in my love, please know that you are so needed. You are special. You have gifts and talents that are meant to make the world a better place. You are an integral piece of your own health, healing, and progression, but also the health and healing and progression of the world. You are the perfect puzzle piece. So allow yourself to be. Thank you for sitting here with me, for reflecting with me. I hope that you gain something from this. I hope that it reminded you of your own power. I hope that it's also reminded you to like deeply reflect on not just like what I did, the goals that I, achieved. No, think about the things that you've lost and what you gained. Think about what you shed, what you want to replace, the energy that you want to replace that with. And think about all the opportunities that you've gotten, that you've maybe accepted and maybe squandered to grow and to expand into your truth. If you want a really beautiful and powerful way to reflect on the past 12 months and also to set really powerful intentions for the 12 months ahead, I just released my Claim of Abundance workbook in a paperback version available on Amazon on my website right now, and also a digital version that you can fill out on an iPad or any type of tablet or computer. I've been putting out this workbook for the past 6 years, since 2018, and it has been incredible in helping people shift their perspective, learn about what's really manifestation and abundance, not the co-opted bullshit that exists out in the world, and set really powerful intentions that have helped many people change their own lives. So visit melaniesantos.co/products to purchase one of your own copies. I love y'all dearly. Thank you for being here with me. If you haven't liked this video and subscribed to my channel, please do. I'll see you in the next video.